Good morning, Thailand. My name is Alex, and I have some updates from around the land of smiles for you today, this Wednesday, June 19th. And we're going to start with our main story today, the big news coming out of Southeast Asia. Thailand's Senate has passed the landmark same-sex marriage bill. That's right. So Thailand's Senate has finally approved the same-sex marriage bill, making it the first Southeast Asian nation to legalize same-sex marriage. The bill passed with 130 votes in favor and now awaits the King's endorsement. Once approved, it will become law in 120 days. This makes Thailand the third Asian region to embrace marriage equality, following Taiwan and Nepal. Now, LGBTQ advocates, including Panyapon of the Love Foundation, celebrate the bill for granting equal legal rights to LGBTQ+ couples. Now, the Prime Minister has supported the bill along with his commitment to social equality, positioning Thailand as an LGBTQ+ friendly destination. All right, guys. So, we did anticipate it to be a rubber stamp coming from the Senate, and indeed it was. It passed with the overwhelming majority, and now it's off to the King for approval. Again, should be another rubber stamp. It's a very popular bill, and, kings like to stay popular. So, we will see that enact in about 120 days after that is approved by him, and then we will see a whole new, I think, economy spring up here in Thailand. Destination weddings are huge. Thailand is an LGBTQ+ mecca already. So, yay. Congratulations to the Land of Smiles for being a leader in the ASEAN region on this policy. Larry says he's trying to convince his gay grandson to get married in Thailand. Yeah, that's a good plan. Now you got an excuse for another trip to come over to the Land of Smiles. I see your ulterior motives, Larry. Not a bad job, though. Yes, and Shane says these Thais are relaxed on this topic already. It's true. It's one of those things where the policy is catching up to the culture, as it is in most cases. So, unlike maybe the cannabis bill, where it might be the policy got ahead of the culture. So, this is a safe way, and I think it will be a smooth transition into a new landscape for the LGBTQ community here in Thailand. All right, Sarah also in If It's Love, Get Married. Love it. All right, guys, give me more of your thoughts on that. But for now, I'm going to move on to our next story. Now, an Iranian tourist has been attacked on Phuket's Party Street. That's right. A tourist from Iran was brutally attacked on Phuket's Soi Bangla, raising safety concerns. Police responded to the Saturday night incident, finding the injured tourist, known as Quran Shirazi, who reported being assaulted by 4 to 5 Thai men after a collision and argument with a local. Despite his injuries, he declined medical treatment to help identify his attackers. Police reviewed CCTV footage, identified the suspects, and summoned both parties for further investigation. Authorities stressed that such incidents harm Phuket's reputation and urged locals to maintain the island's hospitable image. Yeah, here we go, road rage again. Definitely, this is always an issue here in Thailand. You see foreigners getting upset and maybe pushing the envelope a little too far. Thai people don't mess around, okay? No such thing as a fair fight in Thailand. They got friends just around the corner that are going to come and whoop your butt. So it's important not to escalate things in any sort of altercation, I think, guys, especially if you are traveling and visiting, you are a guest in this country. At the same time, it's bad for the local Thais to start whooping butt because it harms the tourism image. So de-escalate, guys. When in doubt, de-escalate. It is an issue, obviously. You got into an accident, you got into a collision. Hey, what the hell were you thinking? Cooler heads prevail, right? And that's what's going to get everybody out of trouble and onto a, nice vacation in Phuket rather than dealing with police and identifying suspects. So stay safe, everybody, and try to let your calm side take over in those situations. All right, Shy Boy says, never pick up a fight in Thailand. Yeah, I agree. Keep the road rage under control when Muay Thai is involved, says Shano. Yeah, you never know. Thai people take that stuff seriously. And yeah, it's could be very quick before you're in the hospital. So, stay calm. Now, next story, we are going up north. The pollution, always an issue in the north of Thailand due to fire burnings. Now, a village chief is defending the traditional burning amid an air pollution crisis. Now, as the hay season begins in northern Thailand, Banme Lakheim villagers prepare for traditional land burning, contributing to severe air pollution. Village Chief Nantawat defends the practice, essential for clearing fields and for planting. Chiang Mai, a major tourist spot, suffers from extreme pollution, even exceeding WHO limits. Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin pledges clean air legislation targeting farmers who burn stubble. CP Foods' tracing system and international talks aim to reduce burning. Despite efforts like Fire D app for controlled burns, locals find alternatives impractical. The Pacanyo people rely on burning as the most efficient method for land clearing. Yeah, I don't know. Some solution has to be found here. This is obviously one of those push and pulls between economic interests and environmental impact. Obviously, the environment is something that we all enjoy. It's a common resource, right? Clean air. However, at the same time, these farmers have been relying on crop burning and land clearing for decades, if not centuries, in order to keep their land fertile and keep their crops growing. So I guess the question becomes, can there be a more efficient way found to be able to manage the land clearing instead of just accepting this smog onslaught that we have to deal with every year? Because honestly, it does a number on tourism for Chiang Mai. I know that I limit when I go up to the north to when that burning is done and the air clears up a little bit. So yeah, push and pull again between the economic and environmental. We'll see how the government can help to support these farmers to maybe cut back on what is definitely a big problem in the north, and especially for the rest of Thailand, as those winds and breezes from the mountains carry that smog and pollution down Bangkok ways as well. Ugh, well, I don't know. Tough to draw that line between tradition and environmental protection. All right, on to our next story. So I'm going to have a new phobia, and sorry to tell you guys about it. You're going to develop a new fear as well. Now, a soda bottle explosion has injured a store worker, leading to medical professionals to take issues with safety guidelines. Now, the worker sustained cuts requiring stitches when a 1-liter glass soda bottle exploded while being placed in an icebox. The incident, shared on Facebook, showed the bottle exploding without prior mishandling. Experts noted hot weather could have caused such an explosion due to gas expansion. Now, Dr. Tapanawong emphasized the risks and advised careful handling, storing sodas in shaded areas, using thick covers for crates, and opening bottles slowly with a towel-wrapped opener to prevent similar incidents. Ouch! That's scary. Now, this to me, this one sounds like one of those that goes from hot to cold too quickly, and that can lead to problems with the gas expansion within the bottle itself. The glass can become a little more strained, going from hot to cold and vice versa. So yeah, horrifying. Fortunately, nothing too major, just a few stitches. This guy will be healed, but something that I'd like to call your attention to, because we're heading into summer, and of course cool drinks are going to be on the mind. Sometimes they come in glass bottles here in the land of smiles and can lead to an incident like this. Be careful. Make sure you're opening carefully, and maybe aim for the plastic bottles probably won't have that issue. Another weird thing, talking about environmental impact, I love a glass bottle with soda. Let me know what you guys think about it. It always tastes better to me. But is that going to discourage you from consuming in that way? Yeah, Shy Boy says, soda bottle explosion sounds like popping champagne. Yeah, that's another issue. Champagne, chilled on ice. We're heading into celebratory season, so be careful. Don't open that too quickly and end up with an explosion and in the hospital. All right, yeah, careful. And yeah, I'm wearing my glasses all the time now, too. Hopefully it won't breach my eyewear. Now, a lot of pet owners in the land of smiles. Pet ownership is on the rise, and with that comes a greater demand for animal medications. However, there's a big problem with fraud. Now, police have seized 84 million baht in fake animal medication. So that's right, this 84 million baht was all counterfeit animal medication from 2 major Chinese gang networks in Nakhon Pathom and Samut Sakhon. Officers from the Consumer Protection Police Division, or CPPD, and the FDA confiscated over 200,000 illegal items from 4 locations. Raids uncovered illegal production facilities, unregistered medications, and falsely labeled drugs. The counterfeit drugs, which were distributed through pet shops and online platforms, now authorities have confirmed the network was operated by Chinese nationals who imported, repackaged, and sold the medications within Thailand. The seized items are being analyzed, and pet owners are urged to verify medication authenticity to avoid potential dangers. Yeah, that's a pretty terrifying story. And this is not the first time we've heard of some counterfeit stuff for some sensitive products coming out of China. It was a big news about 15 years ago in China when fake baby formula led to a lot of infant deaths in China and led to an increase in regulation. Now, it's interesting. If you go to Hong Kong to buy your baby formulas where there are more stringent regulations, you're limited to be able to only take 2 containers back with you to China because the demand spiked up so high. So counterfeit eggs have come out of China. Counterfeit all sorts of things have come out of China. Now, when it comes to toys, whatever, things like that, cheap plastic goods, fair game, fair enough. But when it comes to consumables, things that are going into people's bodies, this is there should be no tolerance. So I'm glad that the Thai authorities have shut this down, and hopefully they can reach further up that supply chain to make sure that this doesn't happen again. People love their pets, they're members of the family. This puts them at risk. So hopefully we'll have more news about more crackdowns for that in the future. Let's see. All right, cool. Moving on to our next story. So we got a transition now. So this will be the last Thaiger story, also the first ASEAN Now story, because Sarah also says toys. What about lead? Sure, fair enough. I'm assuming just non-harmful brand knockoffs is what I'm thinking, like the Fui Vuittons and the Fuchis. That kind of stuff I think is a little more harmless. However, anything where it's being ingested, got to be careful. All right, sorry. So moving on to our final story for Thaiger and our first story for ASEAN. Yeah, I mentioned the Mormon thing earlier. We got a story of polygamy hitting the headlines today. Now, southern Thailand has become the favored location for Malaysian polygamous marriages. Ugh. All right, so Malaysian men who are seeking polygamous marriages are heading to southern Thailand, with at least 30 couples marrying each month at the Narathiwat Islamic Religious Council. Couples mainly came from the Kalimantan and Terengganu and even Kuala Lumpur. Marrying in southern Thailand requires background checks and specific conditions. Now, the trend extends to other provinces like Songkhla, Yala, Pattani, and Satun, where approximately 300 Malaysian couples marry monthly. This practice highlights the cross-border cultural and religious connections between Malaysia and Thailand, where polygamy is permitted under Islamic law. Thoughts? This is one of those things where, I mean, we had the same-sex marriage, right? This is a non-traditional marriage that we now obviously see is acceptable and is coming to the land of smiles very quickly. How are we feeling about polygamy, everybody? This is obviously comes from traditions where a male is dominant and is a breadwinner and is capable of supporting multiple women, that kind of thing. This is a traditional culture in, yes, Islam, in certain Christian sects as well. I'm going to keep my hands off of this one for now. Why don't you guys let me your thoughts in the comments? And yeah, what do you think, especially because we're crossing borders in order to make this a reality? So that's also an interesting thing that it has to do with the policies in both countries. So I'll let you tell me what you think in the comments below. All right, moving on to our next story, which is heading us over to Indonesia. So in response to Elon Musk's 2020 call for more nickel, Tesla struck a $5 billion deal with Indonesia, home to 42% of the world's nickel reserves. Indonesia aims to boost its economy by refining nickel domestically, a strategy that increased nickel export values from $1.06 billion in 2014 to almost $6 billion 2022. President-elect Prabowo Subianto may further restrict refined nickel exports to attract manufacturers like LG and Hyundai. However, environmental concerns and safety risks, such as deadly refinery explosions, challenge this growth. Despite global EV market struggles, Indonesia's nickel strategy continues continues to draw significant Chinese and U.S. interest. Yeah, so here's the trade-off, right? EVs and, of course, battery makers in general need this element in order to keep their production up, especially as the EV markets continue to boom in China and in the U.S. and all around the world, really. However, there are tons of problems with Indonesian nickel mining. There are deadly explosions that happen pretty regularly. Recently, one just happened as well. And, of course, the environmental impact that these mining operations have on the local biodiversity, and not only that, local communities that may be displaced by these mining operations. So, again, one of those double-edged swords where we have to consider, all right, the billions of dollars that are coming into this economy, the jobs that are being created, and the livelihoods of the people involved with it. However, the environmental impact will have all sorts of problems for that are much more intangible, right? Where we don't really see the consequences of this activity until maybe way further down the line. So how do we balance the short-term trade-off of profits to the long-term risks that are posed to the communities there and the environment? I don't know. Let's decide and just keep things moving forward in a safe and sustainable way, I would say. Let's see. Shano says, good for a developing country in terms of cash, but the environment, right? No tree, no me. Yeah, it's true. We're all on this world together. We're all invested in the sustainability of our environment. Consumption is a big part of our capitalist economies, but in terms of capitalist entities, businesses, right, mining operations, growth, persistent growth, forever growth is the name of the game, and that just doesn't jive, right? We're going to have to figure out a way to reconcile the growth goals of businesses with the limited nature of our environmental resources. All right. We got some news from Steven out of Canada. Well, let me get to that one at the end. I would like to talk a little Stanley Cup with you. Now, we are moving on to our last story. So there has been plenty of altercations that have been coming to the South China Sea between China and its neighbors in the region. And recently, a Philippine Navy sailor was seriously injured after what the Philippine military described as a deliberate high-speed ramming by the Chinese Coast Guard during a resupply mission in the South China Sea. The incident occurred near the disputed Second Thomas Shoal, where the Philippines has stationed the BRP Sierra Madre since 1999 to assert its maritime claim. Both nations blame each other for the collision. Now, the Philippine military condemned China's actions, while China claimed the Philippine vessel approached dangerously. The injured sailor has been evacuated and is receiving treatment. The U.S., Canada, the U.K., France, and Japan have all condemned or expressed concern over China's behavior in the region. Yeah, so it's like a high-stakes water gun fight that's happening on the China Sea. This is a constant story. China and its fishing vessels and military vessels are often challenging the territorial claims of people like Vietnam, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, the Philippines. The list goes on. But it is becoming a very frequent issue. Every time I try to get some news out of the Philippines, it seems like it's always regarding some sort of conflict with a territorial dispute with Chinese vessels. And in some cases, it escalates like this. Now, obviously, they're not opening fire on anybody. That will lead to a severe escalation of things. But they are trying to disrupt their operations, right? And trying to have this show of strength in order to legitimize their claims that they are making in the South China Sea. Now, China has been famous for building up islands that will help them with those claims over trade routes, but other people are getting in on the action as well, with Vietnam recently building up islands in the South China Sea in order to challenge those territorial claims. Regional conflict is no stranger to this area. However, it still seems like a pretty cold situation with very few signals to really escalating into something major. Lots of saber rattling, as we would say in the world of geopolitics. All right, guys. Well, that'll do it for our news updates from around Thailand. You can always go to thetiger.com to receive more updates throughout the day. And also, I encourage you to go check out ASEANnow.com, where you can join the forums and join the conversation with like-minded expats or not so like-minded expats. You can get into it and get your keyboard warrior on and always have a little fun that way. Now, I'm going to get into the comments and see what you guys had to say about all of those stories.